Hey guys, welcome back to Awakened People of Earth. I'm James.
And I'm Erin.
I have a very special guest with me today. If you watched our last video, or my last video that I had with Liz, we discussed about star seeds. And one of the things that we were talking about at the end of that was light language. And this special friend of ours who we've known for what seems like forever, as it feels that way as you meet up with your soul family or your soul tribe. She kind of was introduced to us. I think, was it one of our fairs? Was that the first time we?
I think so.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we did a fair in our business of Center Me, and she came in, and my first experience really with what light language is, we'll say, or what I felt from that was from Erin, and she was on our vibrational acoustic therapy table, trying it out, gave her a demo, and then at the end she starts giving me a whole message with this beautiful language. And all I can say is it, and we're going to get into what that is and kind of the definition and what, Erin's journey is, but it's something you definitely can feel. Whether you understand the language, it is definitely something you feel. So that's kind of what kickstarted our journey together, I think, a little bit, and it's just been really growing since then. So, and Erin, I tell you what, why don't we go ahead and start off a little bit
Sure.
so they can kind of get to know who you are.
Sure.
So Erin, why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of your path or your journey, and then how you came into, a little background, then how you kind of came into the language of light.
I am a Midwesterner. I've always been a Midwesterner, except I was born on the ocean in Florida. Not on the ocean, but close to the ocean.
cool.
And my mom was a sun lover, and so she took us to the beach as much as possible. And that's just significant because I have a big connection with the dolphins. So I mentioned that. So right now I have been in Iowa for 45 years, and so I've been around for a while here.
That's
And I
crazy
love the
because you're only
heartland.
29 years old. So
So I very much enjoy Iowa, although the 7 inches of snow yesterday was quite something.
yeah, we
We got slammed.
yeah, we didn't leave the house. Yeah, we enjoyed it, the view. It's like being inside a snow globe when you just look outside the window.
So I guess I wanted to say that my journey kind of accelerated in the 80s. I had a really low point in my life, and I went to bed, and I think I was doing that beseeching that you do sometimes. You just kind of are really questioning God, and I had some big questions, and I had a really epiphanic, is that a word? I'm going to just say it is.
It works for me.
Dream. And so I was given a much needed boost and insight about my role, and that really nothing that I could do or say was able to keep me from the Creator, or what you would consider the afterlife. So that kind of boosted my path a big time. And then we were kind of talking before just about how just the last 3 years everything has really accelerated.
Yeah.
So I'm an educator. I've worked in the schools for 25 years, and I work mostly with kiddos that have trauma in their background, and so I'm usually at the back of the room, but I'm there for support.
That's, I mean, let me just say, guys, that she's really amazing, especially when it comes to children. My daughter just loves her, this, she loves you, and she's just like this wonderful kind of voice, and just, they just really enjoy, and every time there's any kids around, they're always just swarming around, just want to be around your energies. So she's definitely a gift in all of those areas, and you've been doing a lot of work for a long time, I think in all those spaces too. So okay, so that brought you've been doing the school stuff. So when I guess, and that was like you're saying your journey started probably in the 80s, but then the last 3 years, it's really picked up. And my awakening was about 4 years ago. And I know it went really fast. And as I've been on here meeting different people, I've noticed that it's like, in those kind of like 20-year, 30-year time frames, it was a little slower journey. It had to be difficult because the information wasn't so readily available.
Right.
You didn't have YouTube to go to meet other people that were experiencing the same things that you're experiencing. So it does kind of slow the growth a little bit. But it's amazing what's been happening.
Absolutely.
And, even in the last year just is,
Absolutely.
just really moving. So now, when did you come into kind of the light language experience or activation, we'll say?
I was not really good with like times, but I was thinking it's probably been about 2 years where it just really started to accelerate. I was invited to a friend's house, and she had a friend come to do a program, and all I knew was I was supposed to bring food, and it was some kind of program. I didn't know anything about what the program was about, and we got introduced to an amazing young woman named Shakara Tosha, and she she gave a message to everyone in the room, and I believe she activated us. And I also had a session. My friend and I, Greg, had a session with her, and it was quite something.
Now, when you say session, what kind of session? So is she like shamanic, or?
Yeah, she's very much in the shamanic vein, but she would basically kind of tune in to maybe your star family, and then she would get impressions, and then she would give us like a recording of what came through. So it was really powerful because you were really in close contact, and we really had a wonderful discussion because I had all kinds of questions about it. I just wanted to know everything. So it was quite amazing. And so I was like, well, how do you do it? How do you do it? And she's like, well, you just have to just get out there and play. So I had bought a print from her, and if you bought a print, she had said that she would do a message, and we were sitting in my friend Claudia's kitchen, and she's like, oh, I'll give you a message, after I picked out this amazing blue print that looked like waves in the ocean. And she's like, oh, this is interesting. And she started writing, and I still have that print. I should have brought it.
Oh, yeah.
And on the back, she wrote this beautiful message, and it looked like lines and dots. And she's like, do you know who came through for me? And for you? And I go, no. And she goes, it was the dolphins. I'm like, oh, wow. I'm like, of course, I love the dolphins. So, and they wanted me to play more. And so I started kind of watching other people do light language, and I just started to play with the sounds, and I just really enjoyed that. And I didn't realize it, but my boyfriend had been doing that during meditation as well, but he always had the door closed, and I always thought it was just
sometimes. Yeah.
that he had been doing it as well. So I wanted to find out more about it, and then this past year has been simply amazing on both of our journeys together. Yeah. And your center me has just been such a support for me, and allowed me to open up and share my gifts. And a trip that we took to Sedona with an amazing group of healers, and
that was a great trip.
It just gives me goosebumps thinking about it right now. And then I was asked to share some light language because I had a group of elders behind me that wanted to speak. And so at some of the ceremonies we did, I was invited. So Claudia was always really good at kind of bringing me up in center with a girl in the back had to go front and center. And really, it was quite humbling because you have to make sure that, your ego is not involved. And for me, I wanted to be authentic, but the power of the messages were so incredible that I knew that something really unique was happening. So I, of course, then went on my journey and decided to learn more. And then I was asked to help activate people. And so I've kind of been doing that ever since.
Quite a bit, I might add, too. So, that's really important. And, just one thing I want to touch on that you mentioned there that I think is really, really great message is it's that power of vulnerability. Right? So the ego is there as a protector, but allowing yourself to get into that space where you are a little uncomfortable, you are a little vulnerable, but you're able to just really step into who you are, even in that space, and be like, allow the ego to kind of step aside for a moment. And it's really powerful, very healing.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. And that's definitely something I feel when you begin to work with light language is something that you it really is part of that process, part of that healing process that comes through.
Yeah.
Now, just before we go further, so just in case for those, because we didn't really talk what light language is yet, so let's we kind of had some fun here earlier, and what I did was I like I did in the last video, I decided to, what happens if I was on Google and I wanted to look up like light language or language of light, like what am I going to find? So one of the first options or pages that came up here was really interesting, and we were both reading through it and think it's actually pretty accurate.
Yeah.
So we're going to read through this, and then we'll kind of touch on how we feel, like why we feel that this is even accurate or how this works. Okay. So we're going to go into here, and then this location I found this on is activationvibrations.com. So this, I've never been to this website before. This is just a first grab. The first thing you'll notice how it says light language, the new form of communication. Now, what's interesting is you get this nice little picture. Now, to some, this may just look like a really interesting or neat kind of glowy, cosmic looking picture. But what I see immediately in this is that this is light language. You'll see, let me see if I can do this like weatherman stuff. So all this stuff up here, all of those things, those shapes and whatnot, that's actually a light language. So it can be not just spoken, but written, and it looks kind of like even what some might call an ET language or an ancient language. So that's really important. And then what I want to get into is their description here. So you'll see what we've got here is light language is an ancient and futuristic form of communication used for lifetimes that resonates with and connects with the soul rather than the logical mind attached to comprehension through specific perception. This is a wonderfully poetic way, I think, to put what light language is.
Yeah.
We're always trying to break it down for people because they're like, what are you guys, we're like, it's light language, you ever heard of it? And when you hear it, a lot of times it kind of like activations happen. And what we mean by that is it's like a remembering of your soul, and those vibrations, those frequencies, we don't realize is when we speak, when we sing, anything in sound and vibration, it is a lot of times it's carrying information, it's coded. And so what we're getting from that is we are getting our own code, our DNA codes, our soul codes, right? And when somebody speaks it, as it's trying to state in here, is that this is what I usually say in a less poetic way, but I usually just say it's the language of the soul.
Yeah, definitely. I would, it's well spoken. I think I was turned on to Hanovi Strong Dare by you.
Yeah.
And I was just listening to her this morning, and she talked about the frequencies. It's the soul language that is very ancient and very much a part of our multidimensional selves. And so it's through the spirit, which is through the heart. And so a lot of times, even when I do my activations, I'm like, I want touching your heart.
Right.
I need to have that. And then that eye contact is the soul that's being spoken to. So it's a soul communication. It's going to bypass this beautiful mind that we have, but also it also was, like you said, our language that we're using today has a lot of stories in it sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
But the language of the heart is without necessarily the human story, but it does have our galactic, our maybe our stories of, and our aspects that have been there. And when I activate, what comes through, I think, and what I really make sure that I tune into and ask for the highest message that's necessary at that time for that individual.
Yes.
And even though it might be through my language, the message is understood by their soul and their heart.
Right. Because it's carried through a familiar vibration.
Yes.
So it's kind of like, so let's put this in a more simple, like three-dimensional understanding. So you ever said something, but it didn't come off the way you meant it? Right?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
you say something, I didn't mean it that way. That wasn't my intention. But energetically, and a lot of times because of the stories that are attached to that,
Right.
come out a certain way, and then it's taken that way. Now, what you touched on there and what I was just kind of mentioning there, and that's just like an example of, okay, that might be what we mean by that, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
she can use it in her language, she can speak her light language, but I'll understand it because the message coming through is in a frequency that I understand, right? So one of the other things that they touch on here is, you'll see, and this is really great. So it says, as humans, we naturally associate meanings and connotations with our everyday native language, which imprints energy and limiting understanding into the words. If those words have been used to describe something negative or lower vibrational, the sounds have been imprinted and can subconsciously keep one stuck in an outdated story, unable to receive the message or information. So that's what we're just talking about right now. And that's why it's important to, we kind of have to get in and rewrite our story a bit as we walk this path, as we really awaken to who we really are. The stories that we have been told or taught, or the ones that we've chose to believe about ourselves, right? It comes also through the language. It comes through the vibrations. So why light language is so powerful, and what, to me, is that it does break through those. As long as your heart is open, and this is with any energy work.
Yeah.
Your heart being open enough to just listen through your heart, then it's received in that vibration, and the heart mind, which we know exists, right?
Right.
The heart mind will receive the information in a much more unfiltered and proper way.
Yeah.
Right?
I like to think of it as an expansion of our being. So Hanovi had said something this morning that really struck me, and she said that her work has been with the star people. She lives in Peru, and she's kind of was opened up to her light language during an ayahuasca ceremony.
That's right.
And so she was given information that she had a connection with the Syrians, not from Syria, but from Sirius. And it's the largest star besides the sun in our night sky. And so she has gone on to do that. But something that she said that just kind of clued in is like, her galactics, or the galactics that are out there that are coming back now, are wanting to connect with us, but they want us to know ourselves better. And so I think that's what light language is it opens us up to understanding who we really are in reality, not just our day-to-day, running to the grocery store and going to work and coming home.
Right.
It is our multifaceted, multidimensional self. And so when we get more in touch with that, we're going to have more communication also with our galactic brothers who are here waiting for that communication.
Yeah, that's beautifully put, and it is. And that's what we're all really waking up to, right? Is the multidimensional self, right? Vibration, frequency, energy. Again, it's my favorite quote. I'll probably say it a bunch on this channel. I say it all the time in our center, but it is. You want to understand the universe. That's how you got to start to think of everything. Think in terms of vibration, frequency, and energy, because that's the makeup of everything. And then you start to understand how communication works. You start to understand the vibration of your thoughts and how those are attracting things into your life. How emotions also create the energy and frequencies and vibrations that are attracting into your life. Understanding how everything is, how important all of this is, and that we are very aware of those things, but not just how we share in those aspects, right? Or in those dimensional frequencies, but also how and what we are exposed to in all of those influences, and I like to call them distractions in our world. And again, never any judgment. I'm also living in this matrix, so I've got my fair share of distractions and things that, many, a few are addictions. But we're all working through that, and that's part of what the process is.
Yes.
So,
I wanted to add to that, because it kind of bypasses this. I feel like when I use it, I'm connecting with the essence of that person. And if you think that time is not linear, but as fluid, and that all time frames are accessible, when you work through the heart, which I think is our amazing portal into our inner being. So they say the universe is inside us. So maybe our galactic families are us in the future coming back to bring us messages.
Yes.
And it's going to kick up, it can be used as a tool for ascension, and it's going to kick in your creativity, and it's going to kick in your essential creativity, the essence of what you're here to do. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. It's like awakening your purpose, right?
Yes.
Because it has been asleep, it has been dormant, and there are many things meant to do that, to kind of keep that there. But the really another amazing part of this is that you have the ability to break through those walls. Yes. You have ability to open up those energies, those DNA codes. There's a lot of language for this, but it's all the same thing. It's all just coming back to what and who we all are. Yeah. And really, your sovereignty, your own authority, your own free will is that you have that choice, and that overpowers everything else. Everything else. We've been talking a lot about this lately at home too, and it's like life is about choice. It's always about choice. So, and when you make a choice, and not making a choice is making a choice. Just want to be clear there.
We all have our couch potato days.
Right. So, but when you make a choice, that is allowing you to align to that frequency. So, for me, what's been coming up a lot lately is really just aligning to my truth. Always being open and willing to change and shift, right? Which is, I'm always open to that. But being willing to stand in what I feel is my own power, my own truth, and stand for that. And and give what I consent to in my reality, and put that energy into our collective energy, so that we can all pull from that and hopefully build that up, so that we are really creating the world we want to live in. No longer standing by and allowing it to be created for us, right? And that's why something like light language, it really can just open you up.
And when I give messages, I don't know necessarily what the message is, and it's almost been intentional that way, that they don't want me to know because I get too much here, but sometimes I will pick up information around you if I'm giving you a message, but I can feel the emotion, and so if an individual is open and allows through the heart, magic can happen for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And and I'll cover a couple other examples of light language here too, and then I want you to give us some example, maybe bring us a message.
Sure.
We'll get a group or collective message for everybody, so I think that would be beautiful.
Yeah.
But so while speaking light language is one example, and it's a very powerful one, a lot because it comes through those chakras, it comes from that inner soul guidance as well. But another one, as you saw with the picture we pulled up earlier, it can be painted or written out. That's another example. A lot of forms of art and creativity, because again, it's all about vibration. So I play through instruments. That's where I think a lot of mine comes out, is through, playing through instruments. The flute has been a big one for me. But since you've activated me and Liz as well, I actually have been speaking it or kind of chanting it in some of our meditations, and at times even when I'm just clearing space, and I'm also trying to get comfortable with it, because it's like being a kid again, right? And that's where the dolphin energy is great, because it's playful energy, right? You need to be playful, but it is hard when you first say it, because it feels like it's gobbledygook, but but you feel it too, and the more you open up to it, you'll feel the energy behind that. So that's awesome, and I'm so happy to have this interview with you today, Erin. So why don't you give us a sample here, or whatever you feel comfortable sharing with whoever might be watching this.
Sure.
And we set an intention before this video even started, so that anybody that's needing to hear this or needing this will reach you. So why don't you go ahead and give us a little sample.
So I've been feeling some spirits that want to kind of share. Aya poko no ko se ano haya kia mua shia no ko hapa mo otiti na kia. Asuna ko shua muya kia ua te one kia a poya shina. Chuono ko piani ya tikeda. Apsu ane kia o te ua ya namuko achichi no moka. Tina ko hampu ye te ono ko Aia si ono kia ya shua. Chino pua kia ha mbeane. Chi ono de ya ha pui kia ne te wa hashine ya. Chi pua ye ki I ono to e wakaya. Te ke ha dia mushu ne tina ko baya ae. You.
Oh, that's wonderful. So beautiful. And may that reach any of you. And if to you, you're just listening and you're not sure you feel anything, realize again, this is a multidimensional message too. So there are many things that happen on a very subconscious level, we'll call that, just to kind of help that in perspective. But that was beautiful. I definitely feel that. It always raises my energy, raises my vibration, and I always feel kind of that spirit come in strongly. I definitely feel that. And what you'll notice, something I want to kind of point out, is if you feel activated by this and you start saying, it's not, probably more than likely is not going to sound the way Erin does it. There are many different light languages out there. Your soul language is unique. Your own inscription, if you will, or whatever, is unique to you. So, and if you go and look on, there's other great YouTube videos like Light Star. She's who I've seen. She talks a bunch of different ones. I've heard a lot of different languages. So just kind of roll, as always, with what resonates.
Yeah. Some people like to sing it, of course, to dance it. So
that's what Liz does. She likes to sing it, and it's beautiful.
It is beautiful to hear it sung. And sometimes it's just even toning. I think Annie Williams is an amazing musician, artist that goes to different parts of the world and sings these incredible songs. And so I think however it expresses through you, it's your own unique signature, and it's all divinely perfect. So play in the shower, sit outside, get close to nature, do it with friends. Come to Center Me, as we have light language meetups here that we can just talk about it and play and share, and it's a safe space, very supportive and safe. So
thank you. If for those of you who may want to reach out or want to know how you can contact Erin, so she's been stepping, as she said, more and more into this, we would say professionally, and we've been trying to be there as a support or encouragement of that too, because we just love it, and it's been working wonders for us and others that have come to our other meditations, because she does come to our meditations. But we did start it's a once a month class. I believe we're doing it on a Sunday. The best way to find that is through centermenow.com. I'll pop this up here. We'll see if it goes in the right. Well, you know what? I'll put it on here later, so you'll see it. Centermenow.com. That's our website, and it'll have a calendar on there, and we update it pretty much all the time. So that's a great way to, if you're in the area and you want to come in. We're starting to do some of those online, so we'll offer some online stuff as well. But yeah, it's been, again, it's all about that safe space too. It's important for, I know, Liz and I in our business here at Center Me to be able to offer that to anybody. But yeah, thank you so much, Erin.
Yeah.
I'm so happy you came and opened up here and were able to be vulnerable with us again.
It's nice.
Nice
to be here. Always nice to be here. So I really appreciate everything that your center does and the unique ways that you serve the community, and I'm very appreciative of that. Thank you for sharing a little bit of my story, a little bit of light language. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, and maybe sometime you can come back and chat it up again with us.
Sure,
if you'd
I'd
like
love
to
to.
do that. That's the idea in here, is that we just, we're going to continue to build on different ideas and topics. And you are our expert in the light language right now, believe it or not. We've been letting her know that for a while now.
Yeah. Thank you, audience. Thank you, beautiful beings of light. You are all that you can be and more. Just open up.
She's right. Thank you all so much for joining, and we look forward to sharing so many more wonderful ideas and discussions with you, and love, most of all, sharing love.
Yes.
So until we see you next time, love you guys.
Love you.
Bye.